Hello, Hamish here from mortgagesonline.co.nz. I'm here with Rick Mumford today.
Hi, Hamish.
And Rick is going to help us understand the Healthy Homes Bill, what's coming up. Rick,
right.
you're a property manager?
Correct.
So, okay, I'll play this little thing here and then we can get straight into it. So, by the end of this, you should have an understanding of the key dates and what might be required as a broad thing. Luckily, you also will check houses out as well.
Correct.
As well, right?
Yeah,
So
correct. That's right. Yeah, property inspections. Yeah.
So if you need some help with making sure that your property complies, Rick can actually help out. And you can even do a pre-purchase check. So if you're thinking of buying,
Yes.
you can double check what you might need to do in terms of renovation or tidy up. Now, key dates: July 2019. What happened there, Rick?
July 2019. It's a statement of intent to comply is required under the legislation.
Right.
So that's the intent to comply, and it's not compulsory until July 2020.
Yep.
And then you have to have all these things in place.
Right. And what are those things?
Well, basically, it's made up of 5 elements. The first one is heating, and heating in the main room area. So that normally is, say, the lounge,
Yep.
and it needs to be able to reach 18 degrees. So either with a fixed heater or with a heat pump, and there is a requirement in terms of kilograms or kilowatts that you require to get to that temperature.
So usually, I think the simple thing is heat pumps, right?
Correct. Heat pumps is the most successful way of getting the heat in that area up to that level, and also you can gauge it, because you've got a temperature control on the heat pumps,
Okay, so there's heating. There is also
The next thing is insulation.
Yep.
So insulation, that's in the roof, in the ceiling,
Yep.
and insulation in the floor. So they're both checked, and to see if they comply. If they don't comply, the insulation may need to be topped up in the ceiling, or put in if there is no insulation, and then the underfloor, if it's accessible, not a concrete slab, you can get in there and assess the insulation that's under the floor to see whether it needs updating or improving.
Okay, so that's heating, insulation.
Yep.
And then
Ventilation is the next one. So this is ventilation. So this is, for example, in the kitchen where you've got a range hood, an expel air or whatever you want to call it, to take the moisture and the fumes out from the kitchen, the stove area, and then in the bathroom you need a extractor fan to extract the moisture from the bathroom.
Right. So, and ideally that has to be pumped outside.
Correct.
So you can't pump
That's
it
right.
back.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Ventilation. And then
The next one is draft stopping. So this is stopping drafts from coming into the building. On older properties, sometimes there's gaps between the doors and the jambs and the windows as well,
Yep.
even when they're shut. And so this is about minimising those drafts. So, for example, in an old house where you've got gaps and window and air coming through,
Yep.
you may be required to put in, some a sealer of some sort. Those are like the foam, self-adhesive foam sealants.
Okay.
And so that's the for the property. Generally it's older properties. Because most modern properties are well sealed.
Yep. Draft. And then you have got
Then we've got moisture. Yeah, next one is moisture. So it's moisture ingress and drainage standards. So moisture and drainage.
Right. So there you're looking at downpipes and things you mentioned.
Correct. Yeah, you're looking at storm water, surface water, groundwater to an appropriate outfall. So that it flows away from the property, and there is no opportunity for it to build up around the property and around the house.
And we're talking about inside the house? Because sometimes you can have lawns that are wet.
Correct, that's right. Yeah. Well, The moisture it relates also to the underfloor insulation again.
Yep.
We talked about the insulation earlier on, so it's the same type of thing. It's the insulation underneath,
Yep.
and it's a moisture barrier. You know, because there is often a moisture barrier that's used in foundations.
Yep.
And so if they're not used, then obviously the moisture will creep up into the floor area.
So it's a good time to consider that while you're doing your insulation under the floor.
Definitely, yeah. The ideal time is to. I mean, these are good requirements. They may cost a little bit of money, you know, to get them installed. Like for example, the insulation and maybe the draft stopping. But ultimately, it will provide a warm and dry environment, you know, for the tenant and for the person that's living there.
Yeah. And and the beauty is like I mentioned before, you can actually do a check on property. So if you need help with checking out, and you will do it for other people's rentals as well.
Correct.
So even if they're not using you as a property
Exactly
manager,
right.
there's a small fee, and you can go and do
that's
a check.
right. $95 plus GST. Yeah.
At the moment,
Yeah.
We'll see how busy you get.
Yeah.
But that's pretty good. That sounds like a pretty fair deal. But hey, look, thank you for watching, and thank you for coming in, Rick.
My pleasure.
And hopefully that's been of use too.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. See ya.